Body image is the way people perceive themselves and assume others perceive them. There is a direct correlation between body image issues and low self-esteem, which can affect the relationship the individual has with themselves and others. Many women in Jamaica and the world over have entombed themselves as a result of body image issues, which tend to limit the free expression of their feminine power. Recognizing the crippling effects of these issues, I am launching the For Veda Goddess Campaign. The campaign goals are to first and foremost create a space that women can express the issues they had with their bodies, how this hindered their full expression, and how they came to accept themselves. Secondly, the candid conversation of the ladies in the campaign will assist other ladies with similar challenges on their journey to overcoming the limitations they place on themselves in this regard.
My name is Sarah Stanford and I am the owner of Bliss Bridal Boutique.
My name is Trisha Huan and I'm a yoga therapist.
My name is Caleen Diedrick and I'm the CEO and founder of For Veda.
I'm Monique and I'm a lifestyle blogger.
To put some stuff down. It's therapy.
I'm here because I was really interested in the campaign when Caleen told me about it. It's something that I think a lot of women have to deal with, and I guess also it's like a personal challenge for me to sort of allow some vulnerability, because as a blogger I always have to expose myself to my readers, so this was just another way for me to do that.
In the bridal industry, I see women every day, sometimes 5-10 women depending, and I see all the different insecurities that come out in women on a daily basis. And you know, a lot of the insecurities that women have when they say something to me about their tummy or their, you know, their back or this blemish, and I'm like, okay, I didn't even see that. You know what I mean? But they see it. And I always say, women, we're our own worst enemies, we're our worst critics. And so to be a part of a project that helps to encourage women and build women up, to let them know that, hey, I'm wonderful and beautiful in my own skin, was something I definitely want to be a part of.
It's my cellulite.
Your cellulite. Okay, tell me more about them.
Wow, like I haven't named them or anything, but you know, it's on my legs, back of my legs, and they're there, just there, not going anywhere, no matter, you know, what weight you are, how old you are, they're just there.
Okay, when did it start being an issue for you?
Not entirely sure right now, but I think, you know, having a way more youthful and perky body and having, you know, none of these issues and moving from that space where you're kind of walking around naked all day, all night, on camera, off camera, middle of the streets, whatever, you name it, I can do it, to I think when I first probably began to put on weight, somewhere in maybe late 20s, somewhere there so. And then I didn't even notice them. I mean, who looks around there, because my body's perfect. And then boom.
Well, first in my skin. I have terrible acne. Well, not anymore, but I used to have a lot of acne. I also have sensitive skin. I have eczema. So at any given time, I would be like breaking out and things like that. And it was really just hard for me to, because it was on my face. So it's hard to not show your face, but you have this thing that's there that everyone is seeing. As I got into puberty, my breasts became an issue because I was really skinny. So I was like this little girl with like these huge boobs, and people would always like tease me about them, and like I was very self-conscious about these things that were on my body. I didn't know where they came from, and they didn't even look like they belonged to me. And then not only the size, but the shape of them. The shape was just like really awkward. It didn't look like what I thought boobs were supposed to look like. I was like, what is this? I thought they were supposed to be like all round and nice, but they're not round and nice.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people would probably assume that my body image challenges my skin disorder, the vitiligo, but I will tell you that that has been the least of my problems in my life where body image is concerned.
Right.
I've recently lost a lot of weight, but before that, I've always been a bigger bodied woman. I've ranged from, usually I would teeter between size 12, size 14, at my heaviest maybe size 16, but my body image issue has always just been being big.
As a teenager, I had many. I had many as a teenager. I came into the realization one day that I didn't have hips, and it was in comparison to my sisters. I didn't have hips, I didn't have breasts. So it took me a while to get accustomed, as in just during my teenage years. It took me a while to get accustomed to my, the best way to define my body type is I'm ectomorph. So I have the rectangular body going on, you know what I mean? Very boy shaped. So it took me some time, and this was the everlasting comparison, you know, to get accustomed to my body. So that was the first sign of the body image issues. Then I had marks on my skin. My skin held the mosquito bites and the insect bites and whatnot. So then that was another set of challenge that I had to work through and get accustomed to, and, you know, grow beyond and whatnot. The one that stayed with me the longest, however, then there was a preoccupation with my facial structure. Yeah, it took me, and all of this was in the teenage years. I recognized that I have a very pronounced, you know, cheekbone, cheek line. And when I looked at all the others, I was like, okay, but, you know, what's happening here? And I'm the only one in my family, with the exception of my grandfather, I got it from him, that carries this. So all women look softer and, you know, more supple. And this is how I describe them, you know what I mean? So I felt a little bit unattractive. And again, as I said, most of this was in my teenage years. Then, the one that followed me through into adulthood was the preoccupation with my breasts. Insecure.
Yeah, definitely.
With my skin, it made me feel like I wanted to hide, like I didn't want people to see it. I didn't want people like to look at me, like I didn't talk. Well, I don't know, I was always a talker, but I didn't feel as confident or feel like I could do as many things as I wanted to do, or like people were always looking at my skin and what was going on. Sometimes I'd get eczema, like breakouts on my neck, and it would get all black, and I'd have scratches because I was itching it, and then I'd have like all this acne. And sometimes I would forget, but then as I forgot, someone would like say something, you know, to remind me, and I was like, you know. So it made me feel, I guess, defeated because I didn't know what to do about it. It was just there, it's on my face, I can't hide my face, I have to go out. With my breasts, it's because I didn't have a lot of female friends, or I didn't see other girls. I didn't know what theirs looked like. I could only like gauge from pictures or anything like that. But with those, it felt like everybody was looking at me all the time. Like that wouldn't be Monique. It would be like the girl with the big boobs. So I felt like they were almost like an identifier for me, which I didn't like.
Not good enough. As a younger person, I tried to fit in so much. I remember I started hanging out with a group of girls when I was about 14, and they were the wrong group of girls. I mean, every other word out of their mouth was some foul mouth language, and I just started following that because they were the cool kids at the time. And a teacher overheard me talking to some of them one day, like shouting to them across the play, wherever we were at school, the canteen or whatever, and she heard the words come out of my mouth. And the very next day she pulled me aside and she looked at me, she goes, this is my geometry teacher, Miss Cuban, couldn't stand her, but she taught me a lesson. She looked at me and she said, what are you doing? She goes, that's not you. I just, the young girl I know in class, that's not you. And the very next day I decided to cut ties with those young girls. So I think it manifested itself as I was younger and even getting older, to trying too hard to fit in and be what everybody else, you know, thought I should be.
For the most part, I wasn't imprisoned by them. I was conscious that this was something, you know, that I was a little bit preoccupied with, but not to the point that it prevented me from, you know, shining my shine, kind of a thing, yeah? The deal though is where the breasts were concerned. I remember going into, I remember fitting a dress at a store, and I was in love with this dress. I loved the color, I loved everything about it. It was very long, one of the flowy dresses, and I have a time when I'm just in the long flowy dresses, yeah? So I asked this woman who was right next to me, I said to her, tell me, what do you think about the dress? And her eyes dropped straight into my breasts, into my chest area, you know, because it was low cut. And so it was really showing up, you know, the lack thereof, you know. She looked into the breasts, and then she did a quick sweep over, and she said, well, I don't think the color, you know, works for you. But that whole thing happened for me in slow motion. You know what I mean? I'm very big on body language. It's a part of how it is that I work with women, just assessing what's going on with your body. You know what I mean? And when I saw the length of time that she focused on the breasts, there could have been aspects of me that was blowing that thing out of proportion because it's a preoccupation of mine. But I walked out of the store and left the dress. I walked out of the store and left the dress, and I remember just feeling like crap for days. You know what I mean? Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm feeling the feeling. You know what I mean? And the place that it took me to. So yeah.
I'm not sure, because I was always just me, you know, like even the things that I was insecure about, at the end of the day, I can't stop my life for them. They're there, but I still have to go out and be out. I think with my skin, or just in general, my insecurities made me not it's not as outgoing as I could have been. Like, you know, you always have who you know you are, and then who you show people. And sometimes I would hold back a little bit, because you know, you feel like you're just not enough, or there's just something more that, oh, people who look like this, or people who have the body like that, they can do this, but people like me can't. So I guess how I would present myself is I led, which I don't really think is a bad thing, I led more with my accomplishments. So I felt like I had to prove myself more and do more, which I don't think is a bad thing, because it's got me to where I am today, and it's allowed me to learn a lot of things. But I never thought that, okay, just me, I was just enough. If I didn't did this, that, and the other to get there, I was just me alone without anything, that I was enough.
First of all, I left Jamaica when I was 11, and I was in Miami for very many years. Around all these nice, long hair, tall, slender, you know, fake boobies, girls with, you know, these wonderful slim bodies. And we're talking high school and junior high, some of the most difficult times, adolescence, for a young girl and a young man. And trying to keep up with, you know, those girls was very, very difficult, and I never got there. So in high school or in junior high, I had two issues. One was my weight and my bottom. My bottom has always been big. Now as an older woman, it's an asset. But as a younger person, it wasn't really that great. You know, big bottoms are in now. They weren't in back in 1990 and whatever. That was one. The other, living in Miami especially, was my hair. I didn't have long, I mean, my hair was always relaxed, but it wasn't the long Spanish girl hair that I was surrounded by going to school in Miami. And the style at the time, the girls used to, because they used to have to wear hairspray, yeah, because them hair would just flop, it never stayed anywhere. So the style at the time was to spray up the bangs in the front and tease it. And so you had this I don't know, I'd have to find pictures and show you. So watch me with my cream hair, hair spraying, and I mean stiff, just to try to be like these Spanish girls. And like I said, I never quite, got there. But at that age, I never recognized that I didn't need to be there. I needed to be where I am now. But at 13, 15, you don't see that. So for me, those are some of the issues I was challenged with. But for me, my entire body and just being what society would have considered overweight has been a challenge for me all through my life.
Ironically, not so much, because I don't wear things that show that. And I know I look pretty fine in my clothes. So I don't think, I'm sure people seeing this video are going to be like, her what? Because I don't think it's something that you would readily pick up or anything. I think it affects me in private spaces.
I have noticed I have some sort of fear when I'm up, when you just meet someone and it's getting to that stage, you don't know what they're going to think about your body. You don't know if, in the back of their mind, they're going to be comparing you to someone else. I'd find myself, I'd probably cover, kind of, you have to get it in the right angle, so you make sure. So when you see it first, you lie down, so, kind of brown and nice. So, things like that. That's what I would do, because I was like, after the fact, you will find out maybe, she's nice and stuff, so it's not a big deal. But I have other stuff going on for me, but I work with it, but it was something that was always in the back of my mind, wondering, what would he think, what's going on there, sort of thing.
I guess it did. That kind of said fitting into overcompensating, and I don't know how different I am than other women, or young women at the time in their 20s and stuff. But you go out to the club, you meet a guy, you make sure and get your number, or you exchange numbers and then don't call, and so should I call, and you calling him, and all kind of foolishness that you used to do when you were younger. It affected me that way in terms of wanting this person to like me, so you overcompensate. You maybe compromise some things you wouldn't have compromised before in an effort to be someone's girlfriend, or to have someone that likes you. Because I never had a boyfriend in high school. I was not the girl that no one wanted to be my boyfriend, or I was just a regular nerdy kind of girl. And so that carried into my 20s, my 19, 20, now I'm out of high school, now I want to be able to do this. And then that's when I started to get a little bit more comfortable with my body, so my dressing changed. I dress a little sexier, but I would definitely overcompensate in, really wanting to have somebody to want me. And now that I'm talking to you, I've never actually analyzed it that way. Damn you. I never really thought about it that way before. But yeah, that's what I used to do. I used to overcompensate. And like I say, maybe compromise some things that as a grown woman now who's comfortable in my own skin would never even think about compromise that time. But you're just young and stupid.
Here's the thing. It's something that I don't think men necessarily notice that much. I don't think I don't think it's the first thing that them see on my body, you know what I mean? And so I'm not so in my head about it. But once a situation that I had the other day that we don't need to go into the details of, made me realize that I'm more comfortable with, let's say, someone that I'm not as close to, it's almost as if it don't matter what they think. But then in this particular situation with somebody that I am very comfortable with, that it shouldn't even really be an issue in that space, I realized that it was. And so I would say it affects my interaction in terms of making me uncomfortable just being myself, just being. So it would make you, let me not bend over, or let me not, because when you bend over it will show. So let me bend over, you know, or let's face each other. And if there are things that around the house, I'm a naked person, but now I'm wear some kind of bottom person, you know what I mean? And I didn't even realize what was happening until that incident occurred, and then it really hit me like a ton of bricks.
It was in conversations with my, significant other that I came to the realization that I really was preoccupied with it. It didn't affect the way that I presented. None of the issues that I had affected the way that I presented. I wasn't, it didn't stop me from wearing shorts. It didn't stop me from wearing dresses. It didn't prevent me from doing anything. And so you looking on would know that this was an issue for me. You know what I mean? However, it was in sessions with women, strangely enough, that my significant other said to me, "Look, Caleen, have you ever noticed, the disparaging comments that you make about your breasts? And even though you say them in jest, and it's in a bid to have women become more comfortable with themselves, I don't think that the comments have a place, especially in the capacity that you're presenting. I don't think it has a place. And even though it gets a woman to look at herself, have you looked at you?" And I mean, it was like, hold up now. Hold on, the transformational coach is getting coaching, you know what I mean? And I was, I stopped for a minute and I thought to myself, well, instantly I started having those flashbacks, and I started reviewing my presentations. There was one in particular that I remember just talking about them, and I refer to them as my little titty, and you know what I mean? And so he says, "I actually love your breasts. What is this thing that you're doing?" And then I said, yeah, what is this thing that I'm doing? What's going on here? And if I have this at this level, then, and I see it with so many women, and it's so much, it's higher, you know what I mean? But what they're going through, it's more intense and it's incapacitating at levels that I can't relate to. But I have it, and I'm helping these women work it through. It became even that much more important for me to put on this project, to initiate this campaign.
This may be contrary to a lot of but a lot of it, I have to say, I attribute to my husband.
Okay.
Right? Who I've only been married for about 3 years, but have been with for 5 years. So to tell you how long it took me to get here, because what he did was allowed me to recognize that this skin that I am in, size 12, size 14, size 16, whatever skin it was, is indeed beautiful, and I need to embrace that. And so it got to the point where I could actually look at myself in the mirror naked and be like, hey, hot stuff going on here, right? Also, I mean, even prior to him, I've been a business owner for very many years, and to do that, you have to have a stronger mind, a stronger constitution, to be able to deal with the ups and downs that come with business ownership. And you have to have a level of confidence, because I need to talk to people, investors, I need to talk to banks, I need to do interviews on TV, I need to do radio interviews, I need to go out and meet people and network and shake hands and stand tall and know that, if I don't believe in what it is I have here and believe in what's up here, then no one's gonna wanna buy what I'm selling, right? So I had to, at some point in time in my entrepreneurial journey, I had to figure that out and kind of slap myself and say, chick, get over yourself. That it's not, you have to build that confidence in order to be successful in business. So I think my 12 or 13 years, however many years it is, of business ownership has really helped propel me to become comfortable in the woman that I am.
I feel like I'm still working on it, because there are days that I'm like, I can do this. With my skin, I think I've gotten to the point where I'm just like, I'm done with trying this potion and lotion. I have a few bumps, I have some scars, and that's it. That's me. and if I get rid of it, fine. If they go away, fine. But for now, this is me, and I don't think it makes me any less of me, and I don't think I've ever heard anyone say, I talk to Monica, she at me. So I think I put myself in the mindset where I was like, my skin is how it is now, and it may change, but this is what it is now, and I'm just gonna treat it nicely. I always use a natural product, and I treat it nicely, but I accept that this is where it is. With my breasts though, I don't know if I'll ever really be a fan of them. They're a lot smaller now, but I don't like looking at myself in the mirror that much. I don't like everything else is not alright, and they're there. And I'm just like, come on, guys, get it together. But I don't think I'll ever do anything to change them, but I don't think I'll ever really like them.
This is what it is, though. This is it right here, and I think the things that I felt I could change didn't bother me as much, because I have other issues or other flaws, but they're not issues. Let's say that. I've had a child, I have stretch marks, and the breasts are not as perky as they used to be. But those things don't bother me. It's the thing that I feel that I can't change, which is the thing that I need to therefore become most comfortable with, because it ain't going nowhere. And as a yoga therapist, interfacing with men and women every day, whom I try to whisper into their ear, love yourself. In each posture, in each pose, in whatever it is that we're doing, that's what I'm trying to get them to. I want them to align and come to that space where they're living in that that self-loveness. But as the teacher, I have this thing that I'm dragging around, and so this is my bold step into being more authentic as a teacher, practicing what I preach, and not just changing the words, but doing something, taking some action. Now I'm on camera. My cellulite is gonna be on camera, and if that don't make me put it down, I don't know what will.
I think it's helping me in the ways that it's forcing me to be honest with myself in a way I wouldn't necessarily be honest with myself. I wouldn't ask myself these questions. I go through my day, I do what I need to do. I don't necessarily think about these things, even though giving the answers, they're just coming out of my mouth, So I guess it's helping me in the way that it's allowing me to be honest with myself and really building self-awareness. But even seeing that there are other women participating as well lets me know that everyone has their one thing that they're not so confident about. And I look at these women and I'm like, oh, she's so gorgeous, she's so pretty. What could she possibly have that she doesn't like about her body? And I mean, not even just this, but even just other experiences where you see someone and you're like, that person they have nothing to complain about, which makes me feel like maybe someone's looking at me and it's like, what does this girl have to not feel confident about? So I think it has helped me to be more aware and a little bit braver too.
A For Veda Goddess, is just a woman who is comfortable in her own skin, and not even just physically, but as an individual, as a mother, as a wife, as a single person, as a business owner, as a bank manager, a teller, whatever it is that you're doing in life. It's being comfortable, not complacent, comfortable in your own skin to know that you are good enough as you are. And then you can always work to build, to become a better person, a kinder person, a stronger person, whatever the case is. But to be comfortable in where you are and know that everything that has happened in your life has added value, whether negative or positive experiences, have added value and given you those stripes and those stretch marks that you don't like, right? Or the wrinkles around the eyes or whatever, all those things that we don't like, that's all a part of our life experience that has brought you to where you are. Embrace it, love it up. It's hard for me to say exactly what I would tell you, because everybody's journey, everybody's experience is different. One of the things I've learned is, especially with my vitiligo and talking to people, everybody's experience is different. What I would say is you need to start really talking to yourself and getting to know yourself, right? And that sounds like a weird phrase to use, but it's true. Spend some time with yourself. Stand in front of the mirror one day. This is one thing. People used to, I've been called from when I was younger conceited, right? Or vain, or full of myself, or stuck up, or whatever the phrase is. And I used to say this all the time at some point in time. If I can look myself in the mirror and criticize or tear a part of me down, oh, look at your hair, or look at your belly, or look at your bottom. If I can do that to myself, why can't I do the opposite and look at myself in the mirror and start to compliment myself? So I would say to a woman who's dealing with certain body issues, every now and again, stand up in front of the mirror, whether it be naked in clothes, whatever the case is, and find maybe 3 positive things that you like about your physical appearance, right? Because we all have things we don't like, but we never think about the things that we do like, right? And so just kind of look at yourself, and maybe every couple of days a week, just tell yourself something that you embrace or that you love about yourself, and then begin to embrace it. Begin to push it out there. And when somebody gives you a compliment, don't say, oh, please. If somebody says, oh my God, you have the most beautiful eyes, thank you, right? Or oh my God, you have a great figure, or whatever it is. A lot of us, a lot of us don't know how to take compliments, right? When somebody gives you a compliment, 9 times out of 10, it's genuine, because in this world, people love to hate.
I think I'd say that it's important to, I think a lot of women get into they find something wrong and how to fix it mindset. But I think it's also important that even if there's something about your body that you do want to change, and you probably could change, like it's your weight or something like that, that you first have to reach that point where you accept and love yourself just the way you are. I'm not talking the self that you go out after you dress up and stuff. I'm talking about self when you're in your house and in your pajamas and you just wake up. That self. I think it's really important to just be comfortable with that before you can even think about making a change. And you might even get to the point where you accept it so much that you're like, I don't want to change it. This is me. This is what makes me unique. But everyone has something that they may not like. But at the end of the day,
because it's time to put the story down and move on. It's time to love yourself unconditionally, and it's time to, your life is waiting for you. And having an issue like that, it's almost as if you get so preoccupied with it that it cuts you off from really enjoying certain other things, namely life. You know what I mean? So whereas I love to wear shorts. I love to wear shorts. Despite my sophisticated exterior, there's a little rebel in there, and but I don't wear shorts anymore because of this issue. And if I were to go to a beach party, best believe I'd be in some kind of wrap. And if I was to, there's so many things I can think of. My interaction with my partner, it just, in so many ways, I guess every kind of not accepting yourself prevents you from shining, from sharing, wholly sharing. Wholly? I mean entirely. WHO? Yeah, that one. It prevents you from just really sharing, and therefore you're not really receiving either. You know what I mean? Not fully. So I would say to them, take off your clothes and just like do it. Just go talk to that issue in the mirror and put it down, because you're beautiful.
I've been working with women for the last 5 years consistently, yeah? And in my capacity as a transformational coach, it became apparent to me just how much issues we have around our bodies, how much issues we have around our sex, and everything is interrelated. I felt in order to help a woman access herself better, in order to really hone her feminine power, it's first and foremost necessary to have her assess who she considers herself to be. You know what I mean? I find that so many of us have done a really good job of imprisoning ourselves in terms of what society says that we ought to be, how we ought to look, how we ought to feel. And so it became necessary for me to work on that very huge part of us, our body image, and just to get us to a place, first and foremost, that we are comfortable mentally. And then from that place is that we are comfortable physically. So it was part and parcel of getting a woman to accept herself totally, in having her get to the place that she's shining, she's illuminating. Ladies, if you've overcome a body image issue or want to use this platform to do so, send a 5 to 8 minutes video to fervidainfo@gmail.com talking about the body image issue, how it affected you, and what helped you to get past it. Remember to wrap yourself in white cloth over your underwear for your interview and proudly remove it at the end, declaring, "I am a Fervida goddess and I'm wonderfully made."
I am a Fervida goddess and I'm wonderfully made.
I'm a Fervida goddess and I'm wonderfully made.
I am a Fervida goddess and I am wonderfully made.
I am a Fervida goddess and I'm wonderfully made.